Hello, guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining Empowerment Network once again. And of course, Andy, Jeffrey, and myself, we are excited for us to share a topic which says, what if I lose my alternate email address? Jeffrey, welcome. Oh, Jeffrey's not here today. Jeffrey, you need to unmute yourself. Something's happening out there.
I do that more often than not. So you know what? We're just gonna go boo 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 boo.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard Jeffrey be quiet.
I know.
Yeah, go back to moving furniture.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jeffrey's
Good to see you guys. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Welcome, bro. Hi, Mr. Bugs.
Hi.
It's Holy Thursday. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. And we want everybody to contribute in this topic. We are starting by looking at the alternate email thing. And then after this, we'll go to any direction. That was Jeffrey's idea, though. So let's see where it takes us to this evening. So, Andy, we know it might not be news to some people, but to others, it's maybe a reminder that from the 1st of December 2023, Google is deleting accounts. So if you've had a Gmail account, for example, and you've not been using it for about 2 years, then know that you are going to lose it. And the worry this evening was, Andy and Jeffrey, what would happen if I lose my alternate email address, and that alternate is a Google account, for example? What would happen to my OnPassive account? That's a worry. Let's discuss this, please.
Sure. I think, first of all, what you've got to understand is that it's not just about deleting the account. Google has, because of the privacy laws that you've signed, now got access to all of your emails. If they don't like what you've written, they can delete an email. They can delete one that you've sent, and they can delete your account if they don't like what you're sending. So you have to make sure that this is secure here. And first and foremost, you've got to make sure that you send something to someone on a fairly regular basis. Otherwise, they will close the account if it's inactive. And that's going to cause all manner of problems, because if that's your alternate email that's connected to your OnPassive account, it could cause a lot of problems not being able to get access to it.
Yeah. So do you agree to that, Jeffrey? Because remember, the alternate email is our unique identifier, except that something has changed. So we just need as much information as you both have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with what Andy just said. But, outside of censorship, there's other reasons. I don't want to point at censorship as a primary or predominant reason, but I mean, it's in the mix. This is all part of what Google calls their deletion policy. It's set up as Google's security plan. Its intention, at least when you speak publicly, or when you're putting it out there from the corporate standpoint, is that it's going to protect users from security threats. That Google is one of those out there with a very good analyst web analytics platform. Of course, I got to put a plug in for OTracker. OTracker is the premier, world-renowned, or will be the web analytics platform on the planet. And we got more features than every other web analytics out there. So just throwing that in there. But Google's analysis, or they tell us their analysis, shows that accounts that have been inactive are 10 times more likely to get hacked. Simply because they don't have two-factor authentication, and they have old passwords and just stuff. So yeah, and if you lose that, you're going to be up the creek as far as OnPassive, because that's what we use to authenticate who you are, and you're going to have a nice drawn-out conversation with support over the whole thing, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Oh, I was just trying to read something. I got distracted. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So while we are bringing these guys, if you we don't want to make you think like it's irrelevant, because it has everything to do surrounding our own business. We know that we have the best. Everybody knows this. Even those who are doing those other things, they know about it. But then what are you doing? Because some people are just sleeping, Jeffrey and Andy. Some people have just totally gone to sleep, because the apples are not rolling yet anyway. And secondly, the company says they'll do everything for us. They've promised us layers and layers of security and all of those. So I'm just worried and wondering, because some people would definitely fall victim of this. So everybody who's watching here now, you might definitely not be one of them, because if you were one of them, you would not be here watching us. But what you would do is either invite someone to watch this or share with them. Remind everybody whom you ever spoke to them about on passive and they joined, so that they should know. That's the only worry we have, because we're just doing this out of love, because it's never happened in the history of business. As far as I understand, I know people have never been pampered in business like we are doing here, because everybody is the other one's keeper. We've turned into a community. So guys, take this seriously. Check, even for the sake of it. Even if you've been accessing that account, go again and check. Send your email to yourself from one account to the other, just to make sure that it's working, because we are not sure what will happen if you lose this account, apart from other problems that are coming from those people. What if you put all of your time and energy and excitement into this, and then the last minute, out of your own carelessness, you lose your business, a generational wealth that you would have built for your children to come, so that they don't accuse you tomorrow, like Collins would say. So, Andy, I don't know what else. Let's just discuss, guys. Let's discuss.
Well, it's obviously a very big issue. And the thing is, as Ash has already said, we are going to become the hunted. And when we start to become the hunted, then people are going to look at us. We've already seen some people try sneaky ways to find out information on WhatsApp, for instance.
Yeah.
So we have to be more vigilant than ever about what we have and what we're about to receive from on passive. So it is so important that you keep your alternative email and its password, your OMail email address, its password, and your OES number safe somewhere. Now, for me, what I've done is put it onto a spreadsheet that I've printed out and I keep in a safe place at home. Because if anything were to happen to you, first of all, you've got to make sure that somebody else is going to be able to access it. That the whole point is that we can pass this on to others, and we're going to, come back to the will side of things in a minute. But bottom line is, it's not just for them, it's for you. The number of times we've heard people, I've forgotten my password, I've forgotten my alternative email, I've forgotten the password to that. I haven't been. If you've got this somewhere safe, you've got no excuses. So why wouldn't you? It really doesn't make sense to me. But, okay, so generational wealth that you mentioned, it is absolutely imperative that we all have somewhere either a will or a letter of wishes about what you want to have happen to the accounts, and that's notarized with a solicitor or a lawyer at some point. That makes it safe. Now, again, if you go one stage further forward, and I really don't wish to be negative here, but the number of times that I've seen families fight over wealth, it is so unnecessary. And if you have everything specific in writing, signed by a notary, there is nothing anyone can do about it. It's as per your wishes. So please, please, please make sure that you've got something written down. But alternative email, password, OMail email address, password, OES number, the more information that you can put on there, the better. And when you do a letter of wishes, it's where is that account going to go? Who is that account going to go to?
Yeah, Jeffrey, we just have a contribution here from Peter Rogers, which is saying, in addition to what Andy is saying, that Google is sending out reminders of your account. So if you receive them, act on them and act and update your account. That is true, because I was also going to add, about the two-step authentication. This thing, Google, any other mail provider, they have them too. So most of the people too are ignorant. I'm not trying to be rude here, but I'm not sure what other word to use. Are ignorant of the fact that you need the alternate email address and phone numbers to your other emails. Let's forget about all mail for now. If you have a Gmail account, a Google, a Yahoo, or any other mail provider, you need a recovery email address. That's what OnPassive calls alternate email address. You need that recovery address, because somebody is just saying here now that they're happy about this topic because they have lost access to their Gmail, for example. So if you had an alternate or recovery email address or phone number added to it, then it would be easy for you to recover that email address. And then secondly, if they have sent you information to do this update, do that update and then check. If you don't, anything you don't know how to do, go and ask Google again. How do I add an alternate, a recovery email address or phone number to my email address? They will show you how to do it step by step, and it's very easy. All of these things are important. You cannot afford not to have it. They're just as important as the OES number that Angie talked about and all of those things. They seem small, but not until you lose access to your account. That's when you know that, oh my God, I should have done it, Jeffrey.
Amen to that. Oh man, alive. You know what though? As far as Google goes, it's not just email accounts. I mean, they're talking photos and Google Drive and Gmails. I mean, just whatever they've got, the services. They're kind of taking a play out of Dr. Ruth's playbook, saying, hey, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So yeah, like you guys were saying, email reminders are going out. One of the problems with that is some of those email reminders are going to accounts that we've forgotten about or something. So if you've got an account that you think, you know what it is, or you've forgotten, there's Google has got, and again, if you just Google this and ask Google, they've got recovery tools for your emails, for passwords, and for complete accounts. So you can certainly do that. I like what you said, Andy, about making a spreadsheet. I did the same thing. I've got all of my families and all of my emails and everything on a spreadsheet, and I email that to me about once a month just to make sure it's out there somewhere, in the email. I hope my email doesn't get cracked open and somebody figure that out. But as far as passwords, that's a good place to talk about too, because we need to make sure that we have good passwords and we know what those passwords are. And some of these tips that we use for them that the tech teams have come up with before, longer is better. We want at least 16 characters. I don't think anybody out there is going to crack a 16 or 18 digit password. It's too much work, And what we want to use in those are random sequences of characters. You could use passphrases such as, combination of words or unrelated words mostly. That would be okay. Throwing in special characters and symbols and stuff like that. You also want to make sure we leave the personal details out, right? Especially if you're using a passphrase or something, make sure that you only put in what you're meaning to and you don't signify anything too important. Also, and I am so guilty of this. I recycle passwords. I know that I shouldn't, but sometimes I do, and that's really not a good idea, because if they've gotten it once, they also will start checking accounts for recycled passwords that they've got. Change is good in this, and also keep your password and your personal details off social media. That's always going to be good. And while you're at it, if you can stand it, stay away from quizzes and stuff like that too.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. Fatmata is just confirming here that she has already received a reminder from Google. So if you don't access that account, they are going to delete it. So Andy, something just came to mind quick to add to the spreadsheet. I think you just touched on this. So if we were talking about a two-step authentication information, be it a phone number or another email address, would that be a good thing to add to this notarized paperwork and stuff to avoid a bickering when you're gone?
Listen, the more information that you have written down somewhere or printed off from the computer, the better. The old phrase, isn't it? Comfort. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance.
Poor performance, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So if you've got an alternative email and the email attached to that to release it. Yes, put that down, your telephone number, everything that you can think of that would be important for someone looking at your situation, and you're no longer there to answer questions. So what information would somebody else need to be able to access everything that you have? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some people have things like life assurance and house and contents insurance and car insurance, all of these other things. Everything, we have everything labeled and sorted out, so that if something were to happen, my family know where everything is. Yeah, they know the passwords to get into my computers, etc. Everything is written down somewhere and held in a safe place. Now, my lawyer has a copy of everything as well, just to be on the safe side, and I update that list on a regular basis because I change my passwords on a regular basis. Wow. And no, I don't recycle, Jeffrey.
I do, Jeffrey. I was going to say that too. I'm just best at that. I recycle passwords just a lot. Yeah. So some people are quite ahead of time or just on time. Peter Rogers has already done his stuff, so that's good, Pete. Thank you. I think I want to be like you. So one of the things, Collins just shows up right now, and what he says life is good. After saying everything, he says life is very good. However, it doesn't seem to be that good for everybody, but then we need to face it, guys. Jeffrey, few people or many people, I don't know how many, they just feel like, oh my God, all is lost. I'm not sure it will ever happen again. People are getting discouraged and all of this. Is there really need for someone to be discouraged at this point where we are now? Why not, Jeffrey?
Discouraged about on passive?
Yes.
Oh, say it's not so. Are you serious? No, do not get discouraged. Do not get overwhelmed, and don't think that we're just standing still, treading water. That's just not the case at all. Listen, we have just come through a milestone, actually. I mean, when you look at what happened with that massive debacle back in September with the payouts and the payroll process, the commission processing and all of that stuff, if that hadn't happened, and if we had done something else, we'd have been paying the price a lot worse down the line. It's taking them now this long to get these things done because it is a very massive, sophisticated process, and it's global, and there's so many moving parts that you can't, man alive. I'm not even going to get into some of the extenuating circumstances and the bad folks out there that want to see bad things happen. But if you're thinking, we've been at this for too long and it's just taking too much time, cool your jets a little bit and just start thinking about some good things that are happening. I mean, look at the OES updates we've had. Look at the OConnect free time that we've had and the stuff that we've been able to do with OConnect and some of these other things. Look at the massivity of the branding that's been going on and the strategic partnerships that we're doing, and just look at everything going on in the background, knowing, okay, we've got a brand new OConnect that's about to roll out. Now, before that happens, they've got to get the payment processing. It's twofold, and Andy chime in on this at some point, especially if I'm wrong. This first cycle of withdrawal requests, yeah, it might be taking a little longer than we expected, but it's only for this first cycle. Once that happens and we can clear the books, so to speak, on the withdrawal requests, that's going to signify, that's going to be the starting mark or the starting gun to really push forward with a brand new OConnect, with a brand new pricing, with brand new payment processing. And before we actually jump into that, right, between the time we clear out the payments and the time we launch, we got that whole allocation process to go through. And if you think that's a piece of cake, then man, go back to the bakery and check the ingredients, because that too is a big, big process. So we've got stuff happening. It's happening in the background. It might not be front and center, but let me tell you something. We got it going on, and it's going to be happening real soon. And You need to get these things. Get your passwords in order. Get your accounts in order. Make sure that you've got access to them, and make sure you understand. Go somewhere and learn, what am I supposed to do while I'm waiting for a business to launch, right? For a startup. And know what you're supposed to be doing, because when it finally hits, it's going to be moving so fast you won't have time to play catch up. So I'm going to shut up, Andy. Go at it, guy.
Yeah, it's hard to shut up, Ines.
Yeah.
This is impossible.
Like you, Jeffrey, I am extremely excited. I have to tell you guys, I received a message today from a gentleman, obviously in the Middle East, who basically turned around and said, "I've been in for 2 years. How can I sell my accounts?" I kid you not. So unfortunately, there are still an awful lot of people out there that are not understanding what's going on, that are not keeping up to date. People, please pass this message on to every single person that you know that's in On Passive. Make sure that they are keeping up to date with what's going on, because very soon we're going to see the floodgates open, and when we do, everyone's going to be exceedingly happy. But you have the time between now and then to learn as much about your business as you possibly can, because believe me, when the floodgates open, these guys are going to be scratching their head going, what do I do now? Because now I personally, I have no problem with that at all, because that just leaves the door open for those that do know what they're doing and do want to move forward at a far faster pace. However, we are a family, and what I would suggest is that every single person that knows somebody else in On Passive, please pass the message on. Please speak to the guy that introduced you, the person that introduced you originally. Ask them what's going on. If they don't know, get them to go to the next person, and so on. Make sure everybody here is in the loop, because look, you know, we've probably got 4 million customers. We know full well that the problem is not with On Passive, but the third party. This will change over time, but when you're launching something of this size, you can't expect a merchant to go, oh, okay, there's 500,000 payments today, we'll do another 500,000 payments tomorrow. You can't do it like that. It has to scale up. And that's exactly what they've started to do. So it started at 100, then 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000, and so on. And it's probably up to, I don't know, 50, 60, 70,000 a day of the transactions. That's the word I was looking for, transactions. So, but you've got to have both in and out. So you've got to have commission being freely paid, and you've also got to be able to take money in for the products from customers. So you've got to have this two-way street. If you don't have that, we're not going to get anywhere, because customers are going to get frustrated because they can't pay for products, and we as affiliates are going to get frustrated because we can't take our commission out. So it is taking time, but they're scaling up. And the reason for this delay is purely because the third party, not On Passive, the third party has created issues. And and the company is therefore scaling that up to a situation where everybody will be looked after. And that is the key here. And once that does happen, as I said, the floodgates open. Now, if that takes another month, I really don't care, because let's face it, if you've got 500,000 new customers coming on board in a day, and only 20,000 of those can pay for the product, and the other goes, oh, I can't make this work, this is ridiculous, right, I'm going to go elsewhere, you're losing customers. We don't want to do that, do we? We all want to make sure that everything is working smoothly. And as I said, it's a third party, it's not On Passive yet. And I stress the yet, because we know that Mr. Mufara wants to move everything in-house. Now, when I say everything, I mean all merchant services and probably banking services as well. We've already got the data centers. We've already got the products. Nothing can stop us at the moment. The only thing stopping us is this merchant, this external system. that will come in-house at some point. So once it's done, floodgates open, everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
I would say yes. And Andy, if three of us are on the same page and hopefully our team in the house, I would say one of the loudest things that we do here during this journey is Ash's silence. The moment Ash goes silent for a couple of days, know that he is busy. He's just doing something that the moment he comes out again, we're like, oh my God, wow, how is this happening? So there's just a lot happening all over the place, like somebody just said earlier on, but then we have refused to see it because we think that the only visible thing or the only seeable thing about this whole business is apples. But then I think apples were guaranteed the very first day you signed in, and the journey has been worth it. And without this journey, you're just wasting your time. You'll never have satisfaction. I'm afraid. I'm not wishing that to anybody, but I think that what will bring me what is giving me satisfaction is this journey. I've never known Andy, I've never known Jeffrey, but I shout at them at the top of my voice. It feels good. I accuse Jeffrey of using the black man time because maybe he's been calling myself a lot and stuff like that. It's just so cool. The sweet thing here is this journey, because money is guaranteed. Let's call it by its name so that we know what we're talking about here. This is business. We're after money, no doubt. But then what did we find out when the light bulb came on? What did you see? And then the sweetness of it all, the family, the community that we have created. Let's spend time and enjoy this. Because when these apples start rolling, if you are really that visionary, you get busy lifting humanity, putting smiles on people's faces. I just want to see that widow and his womb and his children living from a hut into a mansion, and they're smiling and shedding tears of joy, and I go ahead to help the next one. You will not have time to come here again for this community. Jeffrey, I hope I'm right, and I hope this is my last shut up for this session. So it's up to you, Andy, Jeffrey.
I'm sure you're right. Everything you just said made sense to me. You know, I want to back up a little bit, though, because, you know, we were talking about that guy that wanted to sell accounts. And how many of us jumped right into judging that person? Probably all of us, thinking you got to be out of your mind. But you know what? We don't know anybody's situation. So I would certainly recommend, if somebody's approaching you saying, look, you know, how do I get out of this thing? Help them the best you can without judging them. We don't know what's going on with them, and they may really be in a world of hurt, right? And those folks that don't know what's going on, try not to judge them too. Just help them. You know, we reap what we sow. But other than that, we're supposed to be in this with heart, and we're supposed to be doing what's right because it's right. And if you got folks that for whatever reason, they can't stay up with the current events of OnPassive, or they don't really follow what's going on, or they can't seem to understand it, help them out. Help, you know, because next week it might be somebody helping you out on a different, might not be OnPassive, it might be somewhere else and doing whatever. And sometimes we got to babysit. I mean, and I hate to use that term, but still, let's be a little, a little compassionate about what's going on inside of OnPassive and people with it. Secondarily, it's not, as Andy said, it's not just about payments in and payments out. I mean, there's transaction payments, obviously, but you've got the whole gateway mechanics. You've got transactions which have multiple authorizations with them. You got to verify banks. Then you got to authorize responses and verify the responses, and you got to do settlement trends. I mean, there's 1,000 things that's going on. So it's not just push one button and send some dollars. There is a string of 100 events that happen, and every one of these things happening within the system have got to be right, or the system crashes. So just patience. Just know, as Andy said, it's on the way. As you've said too, Comfort, we can help folks out, and we can do what we can do to roll things along. And when you start to feel a little overwhelmed, or if you start to feel like things aren't moving fast enough, you know, on the other end of the scale, then just adjust accordingly, because it's happening, it's coming out. And this whole thing with Mr. Mufara, I'm surprised Mr. Mufara can show up once a week on 360. I mean, maybe he doesn't do it once a week, but he's been averaging pretty good, you know. But they're doing a ton of stuff in the background, a ton of stuff. And it's not just OnPassive payment processing. I'll bet you that guy's got everything from payroll and staffing issues to logistics. I mean, he's one man doing a million things. So let's cut him some slack.
Exactly. Andy.
Jeffrey's quite right, and I didn't judge. I have.
I didn't mean you. I'm just
no. I know that. I have sent a message to the gentleman to offer some assistance. But you're right. At the end of the day, what we need to do is to make sure that we spread the word as much as we possibly can, and make sure everybody is up to date with really what's going on. There are 1.4 million of us. Us early birds, and some have been in longer than others. But if you've, not looked at what's going on, then perhaps it's time to do so. I mean, as I said, every position that you have is an individual business, and this business could well become at some point in the future a multi-million-pound business. So why are you not taking the time to learn as much as you possibly can? That I don't understand. But as I said to everybody, please help as many of those that don't understand, and then we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Hey, Comfort, I need to put a quasi shameless plug in for Singapore, Malaysia, because it kind of fits right in with what we were just talking about. We did an episode this morning. We talked about forgiveness and judgment and lifting up humanity. And let me tell you, we went into the mechanics of forgiveness and judgment. So if you want to know how to handle that appropriately, go check out Singapore, Malaysia from this morning.
Okay, I think that's important. We are going to check it out. And of course, that's something we can never talk enough about. I think we should go back over and over, go back on that to just keep reminding ourselves. Sometimes it's difficult. Oh, did I say I was not going to talk again? How do I do that?
Now there's a surprise.
Guys, bear with us. It's hard. This is on passive anyway. Let's enjoy this. Listen, guys. Jeffrey, I don't know whether it's judgment or just being how, but we just want to ask ourselves, because one, without Unpassive, we would still have been going on with life. And secondly, I know that things can be difficult, especially from the part of the world where I come from, the developing countries. $100 can be really, really much money. Yeah. But sometimes you are just like, whatever this thing is, I would do any other thing, than thinking about selling your account now. I've done it once when they used to let us buy accounts. We bought in and I told this lady that I felt like I was like stabbing you in the chest, because buying over your account is not a good thing at all. That was I'm just happy that they finally stopped it, because a lot of wrong things would have been going on now. So people should just be patient. Just be patient. Believe me, I really do strongly believe that it's going to be well, because selling this evening and then tomorrow morning everything comes out good. Martin, both of you, Jeffrey and Andy, you remember when Ash came back and refunded us the $97? A few people had withdrawn their registrations a couple of days before that. The moment you take back your $97, Ash says, all right, take it now. And then you've lost the account, you've taken the money. Where you will never forgive yourself. These things happen every day. I know that it's really difficult. It's hard for almost everybody now. There's hardly anybody who can just boast nowadays that I'm doing really well financially. However, we're beating our bodies and living. And the good thing here is that what we're looking forward to is what is guaranteed. It's going to come. Just do anything you can. Just call it that. I don't know where this money is going to if you don't believe in the process, but the worst thing would be thinking of withdrawing or doing anything. But thanks be to God, you can't withdraw anymore. So let's just be strong. It's well. That's just it, Jeffrey. That's it. Guys.
Let me throw something in there while we're talking about it. I'm going to caution everybody about selling your account, and not because I think it's a bad idea, because I think there could be some legal issues with that. Now, we've been refunded the $97, and especially depending on what you're charging for that, Unpassive may come after you and go, against the rules. We don't care if you want to get out, but you're still in and you signed an NDA. And we've told you before, you can't be charging people, a bunch of money and selling these accounts. It doesn't work that way. So if you're trying to get out of this and sell the accounts, be careful.
You can't, Jeffrey. It's against passive policy to do so. So if you want out, you just have to close your account. End of story. You are not allowed to sell it under the passive regulations.
Exactly.
And it's part of the agreement that you've already signed.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying I'm happy we can't do that anymore, because at first people could do that, but then thanks be to God, it stopped. So if you really think that you want to be daring enough not to be part of this, go and click the red delete button and get out of the system. And then tomorrow it happens and you have yourself to blame. We come with peace and we leave with peace, guys. Is it time to go or some other last thing? I'm sure it's time to go, is it? So thank you. Thanks for the contributions from the chat. And thank you for Jeffrey and Andy. Love you guys and see you again really soon, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to tell people about this. And don't forget that Jeffrey also has a wonderful, powerful YouTube channel where you can get a lot of information. You can hear him hold you to attention where he says, hello, hello, hello. After that comes information and information and information. Subscribe, click on the bell. Let's do this, guys, because we can do it. See you soon. Love you. Bye.